highest? Me? You sure about that? That doesn't sound right.
So while we get set up for this game, let's take a quick peek at our list. Now I'm making a big claim that Joltik Box is not the only way to use Pikachu EX, and yet here I am playing Joltik Box? Not so, and you can see the difference as early as the first row of the list. Blissey EX and Glass Trumpet make an insane engine for getting back discarded energies. While Blissey is a decent attacker on its own, and I have a Teal Mask Blissey deck lying around somewhere to prove it, it is in this deck to support our Rattery. We've got Battle Cage, is a new toy from Phantasmal Flames. It just makes your life so much easier against Dragapult and literally any deck that plays Monkey Dory. Turns out protecting your bench from damage counters lets you keep using Resolute Heart. It's pretty good. Unsurprisingly, Sparkling Crystal is our ace spec. Our 3 energy attack is nice, but what if it cost 2 energies instead? There are some other noteworthy cards here, but we're about to see them in action. Our opponent leads Gimmighoul, so 3 guesses what they're playing. They fill up their bench with Precious Trolley, a card that I really appreciate the increased usage of. They attach a medal to their active and pass. This air balloon off the top is going to solve all of our problems. Nest Balls get Joltik and Squawk. We attach the air balloon to our active Chansey so we can retreat whenever, and we Squawk. Squawk gives us a Call Bell. Call Bell is an item that can only be played on turn 1 going second, but it outright searches your deck for a supporter. This is a going second deck that runs Squawk, so you see this a lot more often than you'd think. Do the math sometime, it's nuts. Call Bell gets us a copy of the criminally underutilized Serrano. He searches your deck for 3 EXs. That is all you need sometimes. I have never been disappointed to see Serrano on turn 1 or 2. If we didn't already have the Squawk, he can get the Squawk. And at any other time, he can get you 3 in any combination of Pikachu and Blissey. It's great. Now, this time Serrano gets us 1 Pikachu and 2 Blissey, since we already have 1 Pikachu and the Squawk. Jolting Charge completes our ideal setup turn. Our opponent on their turn runs out 3 Goldengo and performs classical Goldengo maneuvers, before using Solrock's Cosmic Beam to take the KO. We draw, don't have a Metal Energy, that's a bother, and we maneuver to use Return with Blissey to take the Revenge KO. We even get to draw 4 cards, and we get a Metal Energy out of the prizes. Score! Our opponent seems unbothered by this, and normal Goldengo wheel spinning gives them enough juice to KO the Blissey. Darn. We have an Arven and Crispin in hand, so our ideal sequence is to get the Sparkling Crystal with Arven this turn, and to Crispin the discounted 2 energy cost on the next. While we're at it, we grab a Glass Trumpet, retrieving 2 energies in the hopes they help us later. We also contemplate using that Counter Catcher, but at this time it's unclear how much difference it'll make. This Goldengo is just as good a place to put this Topaz Bolt as any other. They draw, and then they draw, and then they draw some more, and then they draw some more, shoutouts to Fez, up to a hand of 23 and a deck of 4. One of those 23 cards is a Tool Scrapper, uh-oh, and a boss for our Squawk, uh-oh. Fueled by a Vitality Band, Make It Rain only needs 3 energy to take the KO. With our Sparkling Crystal and all of our Blisseys gone, Topaz Bolt this turn is not an option. So seeing the state of our opponent's deck, it's time for the stall plan. Counter Catcher, turned out it was correct to save it. We bring out their Genesect and pass. And they have Turo. Darn. They bench Rocket's Mimikyu, which is cute, and an explanation for the Psychic energy in their deck. The stall plan begins as our Crispin alerts us to the no grass energy in our deck. We are out of gas, but we might still win this. Turo gives us 1 more Resolute Heart, which might be enough. No, their penultimate card is a boss, so they win the game. Darn. Well, let's go next. Our next opponent flips up a Dunsparce, which is one of those leads that could just mean anything, you know? It's right up there with Fez as the type of lead that doesn't actually tell you anything about what type of strategy your opponent's on. Until they play 2 Nest Balls and a Poffin. They get a second Dunsparce, 2 Froakie, and a Frigivax. Alright, so they're on some kind of Greninja EX strategy with a side of Rain Dance. Love to see it. Big fan. During our setup, we play the first Nest Ball, get the Joltik. Easy. The second Nest Ball, it gives us a choice. Do we gamble and grab the Squawk, or do we take the safe option, grab the Pikachu? Well, we have a Call Bell in our hand, so this choice doesn't actually matter. See, the Call Bell can get us an Arven, and the Arven gets us the third Nest Ball and an Air Balloon. So not only do we not have to choose between Squawk and Pikachu, but now we have the means to retreat our lead Chansey into this Joltik, do the Jolting Charge setup, as is tradition. No gambling required, actually. Love it. Our opponent draws, and they bench Chen Pao. Love to see it. I'm a big fan of Chen Pao's work. They evolve into Arctibac, so no Rain Dancing this turn. They could still do some work, including getting a Baxcalibur to their hand for next turn. And we don't have the means to disrupt it. Oh well. During our turn, we don't have to evolve into Galvantula. I don't think this matchup demands it, but I felt like it. And since we were about to play the research, might as well. We dump our hand, we play the research, and get some Metal Energy, which is great news for us and terrible news for our opponent's Chen Pao, who's about to eat a Topaz Bolt. On their turn, they Iono us. That is so fair. Our hand was too good. We could not be allowed to keep it. After the Iono, they do some straight up sparsing it. I love how to unsparse allows you to break the symmetry of hand disruption supporters like Iono, like Judge. Just teehee. Judge, now we're both at 4. Runaway draw, now I'm at 7. Love that. I would play that in every deck if there was room for it. But that's just me. Anyway, they grab their fistful of energy and they go for it. Hailblade is good, but Resolute Heart is better. On our turn, we simply draw, Happy Switch twice, attach a third energy from our hand, and Topaz Bolt takes 2 more prizes. Alright, so our opponent promotes Greninja EX, and they have a superior retrieval's worth of energy. Alright, Rain Dance go Burr, Arven grabs a surprise Max Rod that helps them later, and that's the Mirage Barrage. It KOs the active Pikachu and our benched Galvantula. 3 prizes that turn, not bad. Now the funny thing for us is, this is a position where resistance actually matters. You see, Shinobi Blade only does 140 to our Squawk after resistance. So, this maneuver is going to be pretty safe. There's a lot of energies in the discard, so Turbo Energize is a little questionable. Motivate, though, gets the energies out of our discard where we know they are, and that 20 damage actually matters. Knocking the Greninja under 300 HP makes the next Topaz Bolt that hits it game-winning. No Gravity Mountain needed, which is good because I have no idea where it is. So after the Motivate, we have a Grass in our hand, the Lightning and Metal on a Pikachu. We are all set up to win the game on our next turn. Assuming no shenanigans. I'm fully prepared for shenanigans. Let's find out. They draw, Max Rod gets back, among other things, a Chen Pao. They dump as many energies as they can onto the board, boss the energized Pikachu, attach a Defiance Band. Well, if I'd known about that, that would have changed the safety of the Squawk maneuver. It was probably still worth, though. They Shinobi Blade. Resolute Heart means Pikachu tanks it like a champ, and we don't actually care what card they search out with Shinobi Blade. There is no card in their deck that stops us from draw, attach, Topaz Bolt, game. This next deck follows a very similar principle, but with a different energy recovery engine that we'll also be using for our early game acceleration. Meet Blaziken EX and its Seething Spirit ability. 2 of these bad boys is equivalent to 2 Blissies and a Glass Trumpet, and It's yet another supportive Pokemon that makes a surprisingly good attacker in a pinch. 200 is nothing to scoff at, which is why we're actually including some fire energy. The other reason for the fire is the other Blaziken. 120 to active plus 120 to a benched Pokemon is really not bad on a single prizer, and I'm a sucker for split evolution lines like this. Now, let me be very clear, this is not an optimal build. Deploying even a single Victini makes the Blaziken's numbers so much better. The difference between 200 and 210 is Fez, Latias EX, Wellspring Ogerpon EX, and the difference between 120 and 130 to the active is En's Reshiram, Gastrodon, Baby Bolt, Armarouge, Crustle with a cape on it, and even Goldengo. Not that this deck has problems with the Goldengo matchup. So, why am I not playing Victini while saying that you should? It's simple, and a little stupid. I feel like adding Victini crosses the line from Pikachu featuring Blaziken into Blaziken featuring Pikachu, which I don't like very much. This is supposed to be a Pikachu deck, and I'm going to build it and play it like one. Speaking of playing, we lose the die roll, but we get to go first anyway. That's right, get to. This is a going first Pikachu variant. It's a lot more important, a lot faster to get those evolutions out. So we're going to go first. That's why the candies, that's why the Carmines. Our opponent mulligans 3 times. This clues us into the fact that they're on Dragapult, so Battle Cage is going to be huge if we can find it. They flip up a Fez, we go to work. We have 2 Nest Balls, and Squawk is tempting. Squawk is always tempting. But we have some evolutions and 2 candies in our hand, and we'd rather keep those. So we do. 2 Torchic attach pass. They draw and seem pretty unbothered by their Fez lead. They get 2 Dreepy and a not to. They play Crispin to get a fire onto Dreepy, Psychic onto Fez, retreat the Fez out of the way, play another Poffin for 2 Duskull, and pass. We draw, grab a Blaziken EX, and play our 2 candies, evolving into one of each Blaziken. Here we decide to boss their Fez, which accomplishes 2 things with this Smolder Salt. 1, it rejects their Dreepy sacrifice, and 2, it sets that Fez's HP to less than or equal to 120, so that Inferno Kick Flurry can knock it out later, and not knocking anything out means they don't get to flip the script. Of course, a better way to not let our opponent flip the script would be to knock out the Fez. So, play Victini. Our opponent plays another Crispin on their turn, so they can retreat their Fez and fire off a TM Evolution, evolving into 2 Dracloak. This is fine. We draw, and this Blaziken EX doesn't do very much for us. So, we grab a Torchic with our opponent's Artizone, retreat to it, Seething Spirit onto it, and collect. This presents a single prizer of our own as tribute, and it draws us Carmine. Nice. On their next turn, our opponent does the traditional Dragapult wheel spinning. They boss our Pikachu and pass. Interesting. Sparkling Crystal is a nice top deck, so let's definitely put that down. Now let's Carmine and we find the Battle Cage. Cool. Now, let's retreat to Torchic and collect again. They draw and immediately play Lily's Determination. They get candy into Dusknoir, but Battle Cage makes it so that if they use Cursed Blast, it will only do anything to our active Torchic. They also finally evolve into Xatu. And pass. Okay. We draw, evolve into a second Blaziken EX, and Carmine again. Now we could Topaz Bolt here, but our opponent has the means to revenge KO. So, let's just keep collecting. Force them to be the one to break the standoff. They Arven for an Earthen Vessel, and a card that gets discarded to Earthen Vessel for 2 Psychic Energy. One of them gets Clairvoyant Sensed onto the Dragapult, drawing 2 cards, and they'll probably save the other one to do the same thing next turn. And they retreat the Duskull to the Dragapult. It is go time. They evolve into Dusclops and pop the Dusknoir. So in this position, I'm expecting that we lose the active Torchic and present the unenergized Pikachu to eat the second Cursed Blast and get KO'd with Phantom Dive, ending in a favorable 3-2 prize trade for our opponent. Instead, they take aim at our benched Blaziken and do nothing, beyond give us an Iono from the prizes. Oh man, there isn't even a cool counter catcher play that they would have unlocked by intentionally going down on prizes? Oh, okay. They Phantom Dive the Torchic, those 6 damage counters are null and void, and our opponent executes an even 1-to-1 prize trade. On our turn, we Crispin to finally get the second fire energy for our Blaziken, allowing us to fire off a Topaz Bolt with a Blaziken and Pikachu on our bench and ready to go. The Topaz Bolt doesn't take the KO unless our Gravity Mountain in hand has something to say about it. Our opponent evolves into the second Dragapult and Phantom Dive, giving up yet another opportunity for a favorable prize trade, with again the critical piece of that being a Cursed Blast onto our active Pikachu. In terms of board state, it's not a huge difference for us, and it could be a prize count manipulation. We have several ways to take a 4 prize turn, but if they play optimally, it cannot be 5 without a boss, and we don't have one of those. But at the very least, we can activate our trap card. Gravity Mountain makes the previous Topaz Bolt a retroactive knockout. They do the correct thing and promote their undamaged Dragapult. We are going to Inferno Kick Flurry anyway and bench snipe their Dusclops, since removing that threat is probably worth a lot more than 1 extra prize. This is a deck with no shortage of ways to take 2 prize knockouts after all. Our opponent draws, Arvins flips the script, and scoops. For our final game, we have a slight variation on the previous list, and its name is Bombardier EX. I will argue that going first attacks are always at least worth considering, and one that puts 3 basic Pokemon on your bench is pretty good. We win the die roll and go first. Our opponent takes a mulligan and reveals a Charmeleon, so they're on at least 1 flavor of Charizard, and the 3 Poffins are funny. Our hand has the bird and a nice fistful of energy for our future Blazikens to work with, so we're good. We play 2 Nest Balls for Squawk and Pikachu, attached to Bombardier and Carmine. We draw 2 Nest Balls, but we're about to Fast Carrier, so we can safely squawk them away, finding a Poffin among other things. Alright, the Poffin will be nice discard fodder later. For now, Fast Carrier fills our bench with a second Pikachu and 2 Torchic. Our opponent starts with a Poffin for Charmander and Pidgey, as one does, attaches to their lead Pidgey, and uses Call for Family to get... Wait, is that 2 copies of Mega Kangaskhan? Oh, that's a fun twist. As promised, on our turn the Poffin is discarded to an Ultra Ball to get our first Blaziken EX, which we promptly candy into. We don't have what we need to set up a Pikachu, and there's no real desire to use Topaz Bolt on a Pidgey anyway. Let's use Bombardier's second attack. Shadowy Wind does 130 damage and gives you the option to return Bombardier and all attached cards to your hand. We won't be doing that this time, feeling relatively safe against our opponent's board state, but 130 damage is enough to KO a Pidgey, and our reward is our Sparkling Crystal. Jackpot! Our opponent draws, attaches to a Kangaskhan, and passes. Oh no. We, Arvin, we grab a candy in preparation for the next Blaziken we see, and also an air balloon. We Shadowy Wind again, and this time we will return the Bombardier to our hand, mostly to have the energy for future turns. The second Pidgey goes down, and this time our prize is a Combuskin. Alright. They promote a Kangaskhan and go to their turn. Dawn gets Mew, Pidgeotto, and Tera Charizard. Alright. The latter gets candied into, and Infernal Rain sets up both the Kangaskhan and Charizard with the necessary energies to do their thing. They attach a Max Belt to their active, which doesn't actually do much here. It's not an HP modifier though, and that's great for us. They Rapid Fire combo and hit 5 heads. That's 500 damage after Max Belt, which in roughly any other matchup would be a big KO. Instead, Resolute Heart makes it a 190. We go to our turn, bench a Torchic, evolve into a Combuskin, and put our Sparkling Crystal on our benched Pikachu. We have the ability to bring our active up to 3 energy, so we're better off getting our second Pikachu set up. Topaz Bolt is a KO on Kangaskhan, as it is on any basic Mega to date, and we are now down to 1 prize. Here comes Charizard. Our opponent attaches to their second Kangaskhan and wastes no time firing off the Burning Darkness. We promote the ballooned Blaziken, just to have the free retreat, honestly. We don't find Gravity Mountain, and we don't have a boss, but we do get a second Blaziken EX out and get some fire energy on our benched Combusken. Our supporter is Arven, because thinning is winning, and then we promptly unthin by palpatting an Arven and Carmine back into the deck. Topaz Bolt is not a KO, but it is a number on the board. They play Dawn again, this time for the full Charizard line. Sure. Burning Darkness is a 330 that Resolute Heart turns to another 190. But even if it hadn't, they had no way to take 4 prizes this turn. All we have to do is Topaz Bolt one more time, and we win the game. Wow, thanks for watching all the way to the end. I'm really glad I got to give some less commonly used cards a spotlight, even when the face card of the decks is one as notorious as Pikachu EX is. If you've got a deck you like that uses one or more of these cards, or if you've got a cool Pikachu variant of your own, tell me in the comments. I want to hear about it. If you like what you saw, please like the video, and yeah, see you next time. The next one's going to be a lot more rotation safe, I promise.